to Divines and Divinettes. This is Bree India and my guest today.
Mikey.
And I appreciate y'all for watching. This is the 808 Tavern I Am Who segment, season 2. And we are getting close to the end of the season. Today I've had a lot of great, lovely guests come in. And with this particular guest, this creator is going to get into the nitty-gritty of a very monumental band that I grew up listening to, and that a lot of people from the DMV, from DC, even from Baltimore like myself, know significant music from this particular band. And for me, you know, my favorite is Sexy Lady, but we ain't about to get too much into what the creators do and who they are, because we're going to get into first who they specifically are based on who they are and not what they do. With you coming here representing for the band, I really appreciate you coming and taking the time to be a part of this season. It's very big for me.
Pleasure.
Thank you. So, like I was saying, the first part of this particular segment is the I am who, but we'll tap into who you are. It's changing that question of who am I to a firm statement of I am XYZ. And the second part is the what do you do, where we'll get more into, you know, who you are based on what you do as a creator and what the band does and what you all represent and what you do, have done, and what you are doing now and what we can expect from you in the future. And the last part is the reverse the host, where you'll just question me from I am who are you standpoint. Who are you in the room? So as the creator you are, specifically, since you are here, first tap into telling us one word or maybe 1 to 3 that describes you as a creator. I like to say I'm bodacious, I'm resilient, I'm ambitious, but some people say they're the boss, they're the leader, they're the dictator, whatever you may be as a creator in the room. But also give us what creators your band is in the room. Like when we see them, what can we expect from your band? And it could be one word, like I said, or 2. Okay. And then the next thing is just the motto that you or the band goes by in general. Okay. Motto, mantra, quote, you know.
What's the name you said? Divine and Divinettes? What you say?
Oh, I like to say gratitude, divines, and divinettes.
Gratitude, divine, and divinettes.
I like that.
I like that. You know, I took that from, I stole that from India, y'all. I am Mr. Make It Happen. UCB, we can't stop. You know what I'm saying? We gonna rock. That's who we are.
So y'all are non-stop. That's gonna be y'all target word for the band.
Yeah, that's like our slogan. You know what I'm saying? We can't stop. UCB gonna rock.
I like that. So what kind of inspirations would you say on a personal level, like whether it be, like for me, my parents are a big inspiration for, you know, just me in general, who I've become. You know, but some people have like a sibling or, you know, somebody in their family or even outside influence in the neighborhood.
Right. Mine was more the neighborhood community. The school, the elementary school, our community, Parkview community, where we came from. Just the community period was very like supportive, informative, made sure that people stayed in, you know, stayed on straight order.
That's good. Take a village, y'all.
Like,
take a village.
That was really going on. I don't know if you know about like the orange hats back in the days, like neighborhood watch. That neighborhood watch was like people, women, mainly women. There was some guys too though that lived in the neighborhood, older people for the most part, that used to, you know, watch out for the neighborhood.
Watch each other children, watch each other.
That, right.
Houses, watch each other when you're not around. Yeah, I'm familiar with it, but I just wanted you to share because that's how it worked. And so, and
the schools.
Yes.
As well too. Like, the school helped me out a lot.
You need
school, like we had some very great teachers.
That poured into
really
your life.
Into our lives, you know what I'm saying? They're really trying to like explore the kids and see what we like our talents. Let us explore our talents.
That's beautiful.
They just really
That's out to Uptown DC and the people that, you know, contributed to the community's growth. What influences would you say that you have, or that you all have had, that guided you to the point where y'all started that? Like, what is the history behind UCB and, you know, how you all got to the point where you are?
Well, for me personally, individually, I grew up uptown Georgia Avenue in DC, and I grew up watching Junkyard Band. They was playing on buckets back in the 80s. And growing up seeing them and hearing them on the buckets, playing on the buckets, that inspired our neighborhood, the youngins in our neighborhood, to get a bucket band, a little band like Junkyard. So I did that back in like 89, 90.
Okay.
We had a little band and stuff, 89, 90, 91, around that time.
So this before UCB started jumping off?
UCB even started, we had a band called the Newton Youngins. And that lasted for a couple of summers. while we was in elementary school.
Was this the same band members?
No,
this was you and your
guys in my neighborhood.
Okay.
From my neighborhood. Even though some of the guys from UCB, we all from the same neighborhood. Me, Bo, and G Money, we all from the same neighborhood.
Okay.
But yeah, I had a little bucket band back then when I was young. So that kind of inspired me, Junkyard, and then just in the house listening to Go-Go in the summer, in summertime on the cookouts, they playing all the Chuck Brown, Red Asses, stuff like that. So we always heard that in the home and in the parks and everywhere, the parties and everything.
So that inspired the initiation of this type of lifestyle, this type of creativity. I love that.
It would be more going to Ceasefire. It was a center on 14th Street Northwest. Ceasefire, it's still there actually. Ceasefire Don't Smoke the Brothers and Sisters. They used to have Friday night or Saturday night go-go's. They don't do that. That was years ago. It was like 96, 95.
They gotta bring that
96.
back. But
When we was packing, it was like a little storefront. But it had everything was just open space. And yeah, we used to go up there and party with bands like High Image, Young Legends, Total Madness, and we used to go see them early during the summer, or early Friday or Saturday. We'd walk up there and party with them. We was like, man, we need to get our band, get us a band.
Stop playing, right?
And it kind of inspired us, and then we got the band, and it was on. We started the band like around high school, so like around 97. I started out with UCB, doing music, creating music, back in 1997, and it's been nonstop for me since 97. Took a little break back in 2012.
Okay.
The band broke up for about 4 or 5 years. Then we got back together in 2017, end of 2017. There's a few additional new members. I got DB, Biggs on the drums, DB on the vocals. A guy named Teasy on the keyboard, bass guitar player named Sherelle, a lead guitar player named Amir, percussionist named Smoke. So we got some new members in the band, and we still got like 4 of the original members of the band.
Okay,
It's
so
myself,
the band is evolving. And tell us who all the 4 originals are.
Myself, Bo, G Money, and Big Marcus.
Okay. So that lets us know who is a part of the band, and we know what they do, but we won't know specifically everything until we get into that part of the show. But it's good you introduced everybody to us, because like a lot of things that I'm going to ask about the I Am Who is going to be based on like the challenges, especially because I'm going to want a story at the end of this particular part of the segment. But first I'm going to ask you, when it comes to your motivations, I tap into a thing called Self Journeys, where I just talk about like how Self Journeys is the flow, 808 Tavern is, goes wherever I go. Ultimately, Self Journeys is the flow because you bring to the table your own self journeys as an individual. And then everybody has their own. So even though y'all are a band, y'all are a group, you have your individuality, and everybody has their own, life, their own lane, their own world. So when it comes to your motivation, when it comes to your personal thing, whether it be a Self Journeys pillar that you have that you go by, just staying self-motivated, or if you have an outside motivation or regimen that you go by. Like for me, I like to meditate, at least 5 minutes in the morning. I make sure I journal because I like to get my thoughts from my dreams off my head. Everybody is different, but ultimately, because I have vivid dreams, I like to write when I wake in the morning. So what's your thing, and how do you keep yourself grounded with all of the things going on in the world, in your personal life?
Mine's been, I think, my little secret been observation. I'm a great observer. So like, before I get into anything, I'm observing a lot before I get into anything. The observation that I didn't take heed to were the observation of like friends and relationships. I had discernment at a young age, but not with women and my friends.
Okay.
So I was
your
kind of
relationship
free spirit
area
with them, kind of like, if they are however they are,
you accepted it.
I accepted it unless they directly done something to me. So it took a long time for a lot of people to do something directly to me that I felt that was violating me. So I never was like a discriminator of like people. that
You
I'll
let people be
have
people.
access, and I have like I'll be accessible to people, all people, and
Yeah.
not knowing if them people who had different ulterior motives or they was thinking about something, or they only was trying to use me for something, or I didn't even care about that.
Okay, so you didn't really like investigate people's intentions. You just allowed people to be
I
themselves.
observed it and seen what they was doing, but I didn't feel like
Analysis. You didn't analyze it.
yeah, and I didn't feel like it can have an impact on me.
So speaking of that, because we're about to get into like a part of the I am who are you part where you tell us kind of like your own choice of a story. Like I say all the time, you can share to what extent you want of information. Just like when we get to what do you do, only share what you can share. Whatever is a surprise, you don't gotta mention. But for this particular part, this is where you get to tell us like a story that would give us where you can speak about a challenge that you've seen, you had experienced, you resolved yourself, or you've seen a resolution that was powerful and that you overcame, and how you can speak about it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a successful result. It can be a failure as a result, but ultimately the point is to share the challenge and come from a place where you can be honest with the audience about ways to overcome as a creator when you're going through the type of challenge you go through, because everybody is going to have different experiences.
Right.
But a lot of times, as a creator and as an artist like you are, people will hear, your story and it can encourage them just because they know who you are through your music. And it can encourage another person, a child, a peer, or, even an elder that lost hope to be able to look at, the brighter side of things. But it's the challenge in the story that is going to be the testimony. So yeah.
I got you. One of my challenges was recently, I'm gonna say maybe in the last 4 years since I got the band back started back in 2017, has been being patient with people.
Okay.
And also I have a thing of this is really serious, a serious issue I have. I have a tendency of when people are talking, I already kind of feel like I know what they're going to be saying. And I kind of show that by like interrupting, interjecting, and stuff like that, and that's not cool.
So are you learning?
Yeah, I'm learning that I can do that. That's one of my challenges. Yeah, that was one of my biggest ones, and I'm actually still working.
I can honestly agree with you because I honestly relate to you on that. I've had that issue kind of like all my life, where I would just like automatically off of the beginning seconds of a conversation know the spirit of the person I'm dealing with, and like you said about that, get the discernment that you have. I think that's a part that plays in our intuition just being so prominent in our mental, where we can resonate with the spirit of a person automatically, where we automatically know where they're about to come from, So it gets our adrenaline excited where we want to converse with you, but we already know where you're about to be coming from. It's never against you.
I come off emotional or come off in
a certain way.
And I'm really not the way they might think I'm coming off. It's just that like I'm passionate when I speak.
You're passionate, yes.
And then I can't hear you long out with something that I know that what you're trying to say. I maybe can help you try to finish what you're trying to say. I'm one of them type of guys.
You learning to listen in the conversation, because that's the part of the conversation I had to learn.
Actively listen.
I had to learn how to listen and be okay with hearing what's about to be said and letting them get their thought off, regardless of me knowing what's about to come next. I had to learn that. So that's a good one. I'm glad you brought that up too, because a lot of us tend to lose track of that when we're on our self journeys. How to be, a listener, a good listener, because sometimes people that are talking to us don't even need us to respond. They just need us to hear them out. Last question before we get to the next part, which we'll still continue to talk more about you and about the band. But right now, I want to wrap up the I Am Who, which is where I want you to give us a tip to the community. Things throughout the time that you've seen, like the DMV, DC, Baltimore, with the beefing, the drama. Even without that, like on the good and the bad level, how can you see an improvement? What kind of and be honest, a lot of different creators have been given their real raw, like opinionated, mentality, like this how they think, because some people have grown out of the issues. Some people are still kind of invested in the issues. So when you see things with the DMV and the industry that you're in, what are some improvements that you think can happen? It can be one or a few that you feel as though could improve the industry of it and make it better for us to thrive on a grander scale than just our little communities.
Them little stories about Baltimore and DC beef, you hear about them around like what I did, I can say around like high school, maybe in the high school, like you really started stepping into the real world and stuff like that. That's when you really started hearing about that as a teenager for me.
Okay, so you heard more from like adults.
Yeah, adults.
Okay, so it's passed down.
More like it. So I think the improvement should be people who know about it put a stop to the spreading of it. Like just keeping it going, that same stigma going about DC and Baltimore.
Coming to a resolve.
Right, just like, you know what I'm saying, you know that was a thing, don't keep it alive. Don't keep the feud for, you know what I'm saying, the fire feud or whatever.
I like that.
Some people do that. Just
kill the issue.
Right, it's stuff like that can, like say they had house music or artists and stuff in Baltimore. And it was maybe like 20, 30 artists that was trying to do their thing. And every year since it started, every time they get on a card and do a show, it says battle of the house bands, battle of the house artists, battle of this. It's gonna always have competition. So
friendly competition we promote.
That's one thing, but you also promote unity and coming together and a movement from Baltimore. You feel what I'm saying?
Facts.
So I'm saying, like, if you see that, it was a battle to get the friendly thing going, but if we trying to grow and expand, eventually you're gonna have to drop the battle.
Thank you.
And say we coming together. And then we move into DC, New York with our Baltimore sound. So that's how DC and the Baltimore beat thing, I think, can improve. More people put positive
emphasis on unity.
And
I like that.
Between DC and Baltimore, because we ain't number like 30, 40 minutes away.
Yes, and it's coming to the point because I'm really promoting Ceasefire with 808 Tavern, that's Ceasefire in the DMV. And you know, Baltimore with the issue of trying to represent for the DMV or being a part of it. Like, I'm not a Baltimorean who has an issue with my fellow DCers. I live in DC and I was married to somebody from DC. I have prominent things that are a part of my comfortability in my relationship with DC. But ultimately, what I'm trying to do is, like I said, promote the ceasefire for the sake of the children and the generations after me. Because growing up, I loved going to go-go's. I loved being the oddball in the situation. You know, I was a dancer in DC, so I did a lot of things. My background is also, my grandfather was from DC. So, you know, being a blood descendant of somebody who came from people who were in both places and who poured into my life, I want to see better for the future and just for the children to have the opportunity to share love and the culture of these places, because that's the power that I see in the unification that's needed between Baltimore, DC, and the DMV in general. So I appreciate you sharing that, you know, especially being somebody who was a historical figure in DC. That's how I look at it, you know. So when you have put time into the culture of something, you build your legacy in it, you know. So yeah, it's a powerful thing to hear it coming from a legacy person and creator of DC. Time for us to cease the fire and move on with the peace.
808.
Yes, I appreciate that. So now we're about to get into the nitty gritty. So how we're going to transition into what you do is I want you to give us an idea about like the work-life balance with like your family balance, or like if you don't have a family balance, or you look at it like your personal balance with your work life. How is that? Like, how have you been managing like just being able to be a creator in what you do, but then have a personal life? Because sometimes being an artist and doing what you do, it doesn't start funding you right away. So you still have to manage life.
I would say I enjoy my life so far. Like, you know what I'm saying, what's been going on. You know, of course we had the up and downs and the good times and the bad times.
But you make time for your family.
Yeah, I do make time for my family, and it was a time before that the band had took a lot of my time up.
Okay.
And I put a lot of family events maybe in the back burner or didn't show up for certain things maybe because of that. But
I'm pretty sure they understand now.
They understand. They really wasn't bothered by it. I ain't doing too much, but it's been times that it has happened. I'm fortunate to not have my kids with me full time raising them, so I don't have to have the same responsibility of the average parent maybe to keep their kids all the time.
Gotcha, because it's a balance.
Yeah,
you got somebody that you share that responsibility with.
Right. Yeah, I share it with my kids' moms, and it works out.
Shouts out to the queen, because we represent for all creators. So parents are creators. Yeah, that's cool. That's good. And you know, we all have our challenges with work-life balance. So it's cool to just know that you make time for it, and that you got people supporting you, you know, and helping you by doing their part. All right, let's jump into this next part. This is where we get into I am who are you, what do you do? And the first question that I asked with this part of the segment is for you to tell us what is your primary position as a creator. So who you are in your, you know, position. Tell us the name of yourself, where the name came from, but also the band. Get into the nitty gritty. Tell us the baseline historical context about the band. You know, as much detail as you can give us. But like I said, shout out that first primary position that you have, and then other things that you do.
Okay.
You know, like I'm a singer, but I can write, and that's my main thing actually is writing. But singing is what is my primary position now.
Right.
So what's your?
My primary position, I am a producer, artist, producer. That's my primary thing that I do.
Okay.
I also do, you know, my own independent, like hip-hop rap thing.
Okay.
I got that going on, and I primarily play with the band, UCB. I'm the lead MC for the band, for UCB. That's my voice on Sexy Lady that you hear in the beginning, when they come on, and the rap part, when I'm rapping during the verse. So that's me. And that's what I do for the band. I lead MC for the band. I'm also one of the company owners of UCB Live. That's a company actually. UCB Live is a company, and our band name is UCB.
Okay.
But yes.
And I'm gonna have you tell us a little bit more about the company side of it in a second.
Okay.
So tell us the name behind yourself, like where it came from.
Actually, it's funny because UCB came from a childhood op. Like somebody that's the youngest called it now.
Yeah, the op.
Yeah, it came from a childhood op actually. Like the youngest would say.
Y'all know what op is. That's the enemy. That's somebody that's on F wood.
Yeah,
Got a problem
but
with.
it's a blessing, you know what I'm saying? Because that name ring bells now. So yeah, he pitched that name to the guy I'm talking about. His name was Donnie. He pitched that name to his classmates that was in our band.
Okay.
Trey and Marcus, aka G Money.
Okay.
He was cool with them, and he told them, you know, I think y'all should be, you know, named Uncalled for.
Oh wow.
And we ran with that, and we abbreviated it to UCB.
Okay. That's cut and dry. That's so funny that it came from an op though. And he's now an op, or he was then, or?
Well, back then he was an op.
Okay.
We older now, so I'm not, you know, I ain't on the same.
We adults,
Yeah,
but you know, stuff has happened, right, y'all? We all are realistic. We know beef gonna happen. But, you know, it's a choice to grow up and choose not to go the route that puts you in the grave or behind bars. So when it comes to, like, things that y'all have done up until this point.
UCB, we are like a group of men from the Washington area, DC area. Some born and raised, some born in Maryland. A couple other people maybe that flowed through UCB that wasn't from DC, but we still in the DMV area, and we came together as a band to create music for the community, for the neighborhood, for the culture, you know what I'm saying? And we also are into doing what we are doing, like we enjoy doing what we're doing as well. So we have a cause and we're willing and interested in doing what we're doing. We're willing in doing what we're doing too.
So tell me more about, I want to know about your first performance, because that's a prominent story I like to share, is how the first performance was. Even if it was some bad stuff, you know, talk about the goods and bad.
If it was at Parkview Recreation Center, at our recreation center in the neighborhood, or it was at a center or a spot called event space called Bentamani, ran by these African guys we knew. So I'm not sure. It was between one of them two.
Well, tell us about both of them real quick.
Parkview is a recreation center. It's across the street from the elementary school that I went to, uptown neighborhood, and they let us set our drums up in there and plug up some speakers and stuff that I brought up. We all walked up from my mother's house to my mom's house. And they let us crank up in that jump for a couple of hours for the neighborhood.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
Okay, and what was the other one like, just so that we can get an idea of the differences?
And Bentamani was more like for general public, everybody.
Okay.
Like you had to pay to get it.
Got you. That was on a grander scale.
Yeah,
Okay.
On a grander scale, and we did our thing. That's when Nas was out with that song called Sit back, relax, catch the contact. Some shit like that.
Oh, shit. Look, I love Nas.
Illmatic. Yeah,
Okay.
Illmatic. So, and, yeah, that was like our first shows, them two shows.
That's lit. So So when it comes to that type of experience, right,
Mm-hmm.
as a group, because we talked about the challenge that you gave us a story about for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to like your group, what kind of like challenges did y'all go through, whether it be internal challenges or external that are projected on y'all that challenged y'all, and how did y'all overcome that? Like, even if it's because y'all are together now, so it could be a breakup challenge, whatever it may
We've
be.
been challenged a lot.
What was the biggest thing and the most thing that y'all can sit back, like, you know, chop it up and laugh about the most on a regular, just because, you know, where you are today, it's always a beautiful thing to look and be
There's
like,
a couple
wow.
of times I can laugh about some things that we overcame challenges.
I believe it.
One was we had challenges like, you know, can y'all headline this show and, you know, keep the people in here? Can y'all handle the show as a headline band?
Nice.
Yeah, I tried to. We overcame that challenge though, because we stayed a headline band for a long time until we broke up. We headlined most of our shows.
So now you can carry a full, you can open well for a good, you know, a concert.
Yeah.
What's the most like prominent concert you've had? And then I want you to get into some events and things like that you have coming up. And, you know, if you have like an annual foundation, and tap into your business, get into the nitty gritty of UCB Live, where we going with this.
Our biggest show we probably had was at with 50 Cent. Yeah, so
Shout out to 50 Cent.
We had a lot of big shows though. We had shows at New York, Highline Ballroom, SOBs, House of Blues in LA, different places. Some of our band members was able to go on tour with Wale. So we did a lot of shows with Wale too, on the Blueprint 3 tour when he was on the Jungle Jay. He had that album,
Nice.
and all that was out. So we worked closely with Wale as well for some years.
Okay.
Did a lot of shows and stuff like that around the country.
So where y'all going with this new chapter? Like, how y'all seeing yourselves moving now? And tell us about the business, UCB Live.
Us coming back, we came back in like 17 and we was on, our slogan was UCB second run.
Okay.
It's like our second run in the game. And, you know, a lot of people don't get, you know, the opportunity to get a second run.
Thanks. That's exciting.
For us to get a second run, you know, we really ready to run with it. You know, we dropped a go-go favorite people like called Trust in Me. That people be like playing and stuff now on the radio, they play it sometimes. And we just dropped a new song called Budget.
I've been checking out everything.
Yeah,
I like to wait till after my meeting with different creators to really tap into everything, because I want to hear it from you.
UCB, we party for the ladies.
I noticed it, right? Tell us real quick.
Ladies, huh?
You gotta tell us about my favorite song, which is "Sexy Lady." Y'all gotta tell us. You gotta tell us like the backstory of it. Just.
Oh yeah, "Sexy Lady" was a joke that my brother Trey. He was in the band with us before for a long time. He started out the band too with us. He hit me up, was like, man, I've listened to that Tupac jump. Can't wait till the rain turn to sunshine. Man, my life, done it one time. That song. So Tupac took that song and sampled it from "Don't Disturb This Groove." Don't disturb this groove. He liked the Tupac version, and he was singing. He said to it like a hook over "Sexy Lady" hook over the Tupac version.
Nice.
And he sung the jump to me, or says he let me hear it or something. And he's like, we need to write a verse for this jump and get a beat, a little beat behind it, do what we do, and that's what happened.
Y'all did what y'all did, and it will forever be done, okay?
Yeah.
Because that song goes nowhere to this day. We don't even check the time of when it came out because it's relevant when you play it, okay? Even in Baltimore, we twisted. So ultimately, we got to shout out the prominent music, but I appreciate that y'all got some new music coming out, and y'all had some out. Make sure y'all check that out. While we edit, tell us real quick, like your platform name, how can they find you? If you have a website, give us all of that, the spelling and everything specifically, please, so that the new people, you can check in if you haven't tapped in, and if you're a person who knows about the band and you've been looking for them, these are the things, the ways that you can get in contact. This is how you book, and check out the second run with UCB Live.
On most of our social media, damn near all of them, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of them, YouTube and all that is at UCB Live. It's UCB LIVE, and our website is UCBLiveLLC.com. We also have another website, UncalledForBand.com. You can check out both of the websites. The first one is the company's website, and the second one is the band's personal website.
Okay, so Uncalled For Band is the band website.
Yes.
Okay.
We also have a
it listed here.
nonprofit organization, UCB Live Foundation, nonprofit organization, and it's for the youth, cultural arts programs and stuff like that. So stay tuned for some of that's coming out real soon. We're gonna have some stuff going on in the neighborhoods in Ward 1, Ward 8 in
Nice.
DC. So we're gonna make sure we do that. And for booking, you can get all of that online at UCBLiveLLC.com.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. Make sure y'all tap in. So, aside from that, your best way that you like people to book y'all is through DM or email? What's the technical preference?
You can, honestly, you can book us in any way you can get in contact.
Just reach out.
Everybody, we read everything, all the stuff.
That's good, and I appreciate it. I was able to get in touch too, so. All right, so now that we got all the, information out, I'm gonna get into a little bit more about like anything you got going with, like you mentioned your foundation. I want you to give like a little tip to, like, say as though you have children or you have like children that look up to you, or it doesn't have to be children, it could be a peer that look up to you, somebody younger, older, whatever it may be, boy or girl that comes up to you and they tell you how admiring they are of you as a person, or just your, position in the band that you are, or, just like, just in general, just give me an idea. What kind of thing could you pour into them? Because my next question is going to ask you about DC, the community specifically. How I asked about the DMV, I'm going to ask you a question pertaining to your community. So for right now, just in general, anywhere you are in the world, somebody is coming up to you and they want you to pour something into them, some type of word of wisdom, or just some type of, I don't like to say the word advice, but it can be, a tip, advisement, that you just want to share because of something that you learned in life, and you just want to share that with people when they come to you.
It's a couple of things. I would say ask questions, but make your own decision. Know how to make your own decisions. Live with what you decide on doing. Whatever live with, accept whatever you decide to do.
Okay.
And one of the main things that I've learned, and I'm still learning and better, I'm getting to be honest about everything about yourself, to yourself and others as much as possible. Because it prevents people wasting time. Bull jiving you or you bull jiving them. Being honest, it just gets you further. And like, what I'm saying, it's being honest with someone, being truthful, or that's like your heart. And what I'm saying, if your heart good and it's shining, then good things gonna happen.
I love that. I appreciate you sharing those tips. Make sure y'all write them down. Because at the end of the day, I influence living in your truth. And G self-unity, peace, love, truth of self-journeys pillars. So I appreciate you sharing those tips. And when it comes to, like I said, the foundation, my next question was going to be, I like to ask people this, especially, when you come out of a more, urban city environment, but even people who come from the country, whatever you're from, in your particular area, for you, when it comes to DC, what do you want to see more of for the community? Even more than what the great things that you've seen growing up and that you've seen, the good and the bad. What do you want to see more of for the community and to see it, become better? Give us a pro and a con, or a couple of pros and cons about your community, and how it can improve in those areas that you think it needs improvement, and what needs to be better than what it already is,
I got you. They did a good job gentrifying the city.
Oh yeah, all that gentrification.
And all the black cities and stuff, so it looked better, the city looked better. But we need more resources in the community that not only help you out individually, your person out individually, but it helps the whole community as a unit, as a unity, like bringing unity in the community. And I think we're missing that. It's a lack of
it's a few tools and elements missing for the opportunity to build more camaraderie.
Right.
Okay. Is it something that you feel like the leaders need to pour into the community, or the people need to ask more of?
I think it's a balance. You can have, the government, the mayor, and them help out where they can with funding and resources and things they can help with. and then the actual residents in the area, they need to,
contribute more.
contribute
Okay.
more.
And just having a voice more, aside from writing letters and sending emails, just actually showing up to more like, I guess, workshops and stuff, you think, like for the city, or
Yeah, that too.
more
that
public
too.
events and stuff to
We
speak
need
out.
property.
Mm.
That's the problem.
Ownership.
That's the biggest problem is property ownership. No, there's not nobody really owning a lot of property. So we don't have
For it to
big
be a chocolate
centers.
city, you saying it need to
Right,
be
we
more
don't
chocolate
have
owners.
centers, like the centers that we utilize to a degree is like libraries or the recs and stuff like that, recreation centers. When you go in other places, other communities, other neighborhoods, they have studios, all types of AV type of stuff going on, audio
Available for the people.
public, yeah.
I like that, and now that I've been living in DC, they are kind of getting better with that. Shouts out to the libraries, and the mayor for setting up the opportunity for the libraries to have studios in them now. So them doing that does play a part, right? But it's a lot more to it that need to grow. So I appreciate you sharing. There needs to be more ownership, invest more time in learning about real estate, investing in real estate in general. So I appreciate you sharing that too. And tool for your community. And then, did you have any pros about anything? Because that's a good con. If you had any more, you can throw them out there. But when it comes to the pros, what are some good things that have happened, that have grown, that have established themselves, that you want to see keep going and becoming bigger and better?
Well, I'm definitely happy that DC has made go-go the official music about town. So that's big,
That is big. We're gonna clap it up for that one.
With that, hopefully you see more support. You know what I'm saying? Resources, and opportunities for the people, because it's a lot of talented people in this area.
Yes.
The whole DMV area, period. It's a lot of, like, from sports to music and all that. There's just a lot of people here in this area that don't get that recognition that
they
should
deserve.
get. Or
Okay.
they don't get the opportunity to, like,
Be themselves. Hopefully.
potentially be like what they really can be.
Yeah, because it does need to be more space for that. Okay, I love that. That's good for us. Make sure y'all stir the pot up with that, because all of us who are creators, we have our own roles, our own goals. So just keep going. The things that we've been keeping up with on this particular season of saying and repeating to each other is believe in yourself, keep going, don't stop. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you, and stay in your lane, meaning focus on your lane, because we need you to focus on what you're meant to do in order for us to grow as a whole, right? Moving forward then, did you have any more like things that y'all are doing on an annual basis that we can be aware of? And I have a little question that, how it's CCB and TCB, right? I want you to be clear on distinguishing the differences for yeah, because people that are not from the area are going to need to know the differences about the bands and what distinguishes you, from the other ones that people can research.
The bands thing, the UCB, TCB thing, is the same thing like BYB, JYB, kind of like they was the first people kind of to put a B behind their name.
Okay.
That we seen. I don't remember. I remember it was JYB was the first person I seen that abbreviated their name as Junkyard Band JYB.
Got you. Okay.
So when Backyard Band came out, they did the same thing.
Okay. So just making abbreviation easier.
Right, but it wasn't no B behind nobody's name. So it wasn't R.E.B., Red S's Band.
Got it.
They never did it. They just stayed at Red S's. Chuck Brown just stayed Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers, or Chuck Brown. So some band, Hot Cold Sweat, they didn't have a band behind the name, they just say Hot Cold Sweat.
Okay.
Pump Blenders was just the Pump Blenders. So you know what I mean? EU, Experience Unlimited, it wasn't no band behind it.
And shouts out to all the bands.
Those bands that came before all the bands in the late 80s and the 90s. Early 90s. So then
layers to this.
Right, then you had back when Junkyard came on, started with the JYB, from what I know, it was JYB, then BYB, and then you started having NEG. They abbreviated they Northeast Groovers, NEG. And then I think we probably was the next, because we had Huggerbucks, but they wasn't Huggerbucks B or HUD or nothing. Optimistic Tribe, they wasn't no.
So y'all put an emphasis, y'all were like
We
one of the first to
started
put an emphasis on
younger
that beat.
after Backyard and generation, 5 years younger than them.
Okay.
We came out and we started the B back up with UCB.
Got you.
And then TCB came out after us, and they named themselves TCB for Total Control Band. So that's how it was. We was out for a minute, but you still had a band like Raw Image. That wasn't RIB, they just called themselves Raw Image.
Okay, so some people chose to keep the B, add the B, some people.
It's just after TCB.
Then it was CCB.
After it was CCB, and then it was so many something B's.
B's, okay.
XIB,
I see XIB,
all these TOB, all types of different B's. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it goes sometimes. Yeah,
I look at that as a sneaky way of creating unity within the community as the community becomes an element of the world. Because people can always refer back to DC ultimately when they think of all these band names.
Some people gonna follow the same what came before them. Something like what they came like. And it's just like, this is what you do. Something like
that. Because the B represents the band.
Right. So it's like that type of thing, but if you name your band something like Black Audi, you're not going, they ain't saying Black Audi Band. They just gonna say Black Audi. So they not gonna be BAB on no flyers nowhere. Some people used to put Uncalled For on the flyer, but that's a long word to put Uncalled For Band. UCB. Or Backyard Band, so they just put a BYB instead of Backyard Band or Junkyard. They used to do it across the whole thing. When people started trying to save money, the size of the stuff costs because you're putting all these words on the flyer, or you don't want it to look all jumbled up, so many stuff going on. So there's some people started trying to like alter things to make things look a little bit more simple for people.
Yeah, the aesthetics of things are big now, especially with the digital age.
But some people take that whole thing and they like, it's all these B. I'm just like.
But people don't understand the culture. That's why I wanted you to kind of explain it. And I appreciate you doing that because now people can think about those things and they can get into the music. You know?
Right, you got Young Jock, you got Young G's.
It's a lot of youngs, it's a lot of babies, and it's a lot of littles, all right?
A lot of youngs.
Yeah, there's a lot of youngs, littles, and babies, all right? So ultimately, it's about tapping into the creator specifically, but I'm glad you helped us distinguish who you are and who your band represents themselves as creators, you know? So now y'all can tap into UCB Live, Uncalled For Band, and make sure y'all tap into the old and the new music, okay? You know what I'm saying? And just tap into it all. Now, before we wrap up and get into Reverse the Hope, the other question I was having was that I want you to share with us any more or any events that you haven't shared with us already that we can anticipate from the band, just like if it's an annual thing that y'all do, you know, once a month or every other month, like if it's anything that you know for sure, and just anything that's coming up and anything that's reoccurring, like I said, annually.
Well, reoccurring, we're gonna always have music coming out. It might be.
So always tap in.
You don't never know when it's gonna come out, but it ain't gonna be no long spaces between. You're gonna have music and visuals out. Okay. That's gonna be reoccurring. We also gonna have non-profit organization programs that's gonna be reoccurring as well once they get the going.
Okay. Can people volunteer for that?
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna have that going on reoccurring. Right now, what we have coming up, we don't have no monthly or weekly events where we playing monthly every month there or every week anywhere. We have dates. We have spot dates. That's what we call them.
Spot dates, okay.
For that, follow us on UCB Live, Instagram, Facebook. Stay in tune, stay posted, you know what I'm saying?
And check in, yes, check in, tap in. Just follow so that y'all can keep up with everything. Turn on your notifications if you're a real big fan. And otherwise, I'm going to be sharing stuff as well on the 808 Tavern page and on my personal page as it comes to me. Y'all can tap in next year around spring and every season to see if these types of events are occurring again and see where the band will be. And see where you will be because you have your own artist lane that you're in now, right? Tell us a little bit about that too before we tap into Reverse the Host. We need to hear about that.
That's
what you want to share, because I know some stuff is probably in cooking.
It's cool. Yeah, I'm working. You know, I'm one of them. You know, when it comes to individual work, I kind of took a seat in the back. You know, back seat for a minute. You know, what I'm saying, let the band and worry about focus more on the band, music and production. But I do have some music that I'm working on, and I also have another project that I'm working on with some musicians. About 20 musicians. So we're gonna make some things happen. We also looking for writers, bass guitar, lead guitars, drummers, singers, dancers, people who do photography, videos. We're looking for all of that for this company that we're starting.
Tap in, y'all, tap in.
Stay in touch with me, man. We're gonna make it happen this year and keep it going. I love y'all so much. 808 Tavern. Appreciate you having us out.
I appreciate it.
Rock Mikey.
Yes, thank you so much for that last word. now I do this thing first the host where I take off my host hat and I give it to you. You gotta take the hat.
Okay.
All right. You know what I'm saying? So now I got a hot seat and you question me 1 to 3.
So what made you start then, wanting to get into going to hosting thing with 808 Tavern?
Well, for me, it would just started off. I went through kind of like a little depression, Shouts out to us who have anxiety and need to overcome a lot of our obstacles. But everybody go over things, handle things differently. For me, I fell into a space where I ended up just homeless, just hit some life crisis. And that inspired me, actually. The challenges that I go through, I've learned actually inspire me to try to figure things out. I'm a problem solver. I always like to say, if we see the problem, so what's the solution, because I don't like to just talk about problems without trying to come up with a solution. So yeah, it was just a lot of things that I seen being an issue in my personal life, and then I got really in tune through my spiritual awakening with meditating more and tuning into my inner space. And I found more comfortability with my creator space, and that's how I define self journeys first. The number 808 was like calling to me throughout the years of my awakening.
Okay.
And I designed the tavern because I always wanted to have like a restaurant art cafe of my own when I grew up. So I used the word tavern instead of cafe or shop, And ultimately the goal was to be able to bring creators together in some type of way on a big scale one day. And that's still the goal, I'm not necessarily exactly where I want to be yet, but, I've learned how to understand the process through, doing this. Okay. And so it came from me traveling to USA and wanting to interview different creators that are underground, unknown, underdogs, whatever it may be you want to call it, or just not really active right now or getting back active because the pandemic was crazy, so now it's kind of like a new wave on the idea of choosing to want to expose different creators that are in the creases, in the crevices. One day I may sit with, prominent figures as well, like yourself. I've been sitting with somebody prominent, so this is the second season for me. It's prominent, you're prominent to me, you know what I'm saying? So I look at it like that. So that's how 808 Tavern was developed, is wanting to see, meet, and expose the creators that we may know a lot here, but everybody in the world don't know. But they're gonna find out through 808 Tavern. Y'all gonna watch this, and y'all gonna find out about these sounds and this creative experience that we've had in the DC area, the Baltimore area, the DMV area, and yeah, that's where that came from. I appreciate you asking that question. That was a good question. All right, so
how long have you been in the DC area?
All right, so I've been in DC since about September, but I'm from Baltimore. So DC has been an on and off experience for me. I haven't gotten a chance to actually live there, but I've been, so much back and forth there. My secondary home is Atlanta, but I'm moving into the idea that DC is a part of my primary home space, not just Baltimore. And that's because I had a lot of experience. A lot of my major experiences were in DC. Okay. I had some familial experiences in Baltimore, but my wild oat experiences, like I say, were in DC. A lot of my party experiences when I was a teenager were in DC. If not DC, then the outskirts, the PG area, county and stuff. But yeah, that's my relationship with DC. Been there since September, living for the first time in my life to finally actually and I love it. Even though it's got the gentrification portion to it. For me, being a new y'all, I move around a lot. But when I'm living somewhere, it takes time, for me to warm up to moving there. So I'm appreciative that DC welcomed me in, especially at a time in my life where I was transitioning. Baltimore is trying to learn how to gentrify itself. So where I was staying was just a no bueno. And there were some cool programs in DC that took me right on in between the employment workshops and Howard with the programs they had to help and listen out to students who needed the assistance, and just different things that was given to me as a veteran, it was provided to me. So that's what I will say. Okay. You got one more closing question for me, whether it be about my favorite color or something?
What do you like to do outside of this?
Writing and music. I've learned out of all the jobs I've had, I'm where I need to be. So outside of hosting, I'm a visionary. So that's how this came about. And I like to just take my vision and turn it into whatever story I can create or whatever story I can enhance and make be, beautiful.
Okay, that's great.
I appreciate you questioning me and giving me the opportunity to be in the And I thank y'all for listening and watching with us. We're going to have you give us a final word, whatever you want to give a word of wisdom again to the people. But I thank you again for coming and for taking the time because, you know, I don't know when I'll be able to meet with you again. I really do hope that 808 Tavern can grow in the direction I'm trying to go in.
It will.
And I want you to give us our last word and lead us out.
Plant good seeds, grow good trees.
That's all we need. And G self unity, peace, love, and truth. This is Bree India.
You tried everything, but you won't give up. What you won't do love. You tried